I always thought the worst thing my mother ever did to me was make me feel invisible. I was wrong.
Let me take you back to a Tuesday in October. Ordinary in every way. I was at my mother's house, Diane's house, because she had asked me to water her plants while she was at her book club. That was the kind of thing I did. I showed up. I watered the plants. I tried to be useful enough that maybe, just maybe, she would look at me the way she looked at Marcus. Marcus. My older brother. Golden, effortless, perfect Marcus. Mom's whole face would change when he walked into a room. Like someone had turned a light on inside her. With me, it was the opposite. I used to joke to my best friend that I was the lamp Diane kept meaning to return to the store but never got around to. I know how that sounds. But you have to understand, I had spent 27 years trying to earn something from that woman. Trying to be good enough. Trying to figure out what was fundamentally wrong with me that she could not just love me the same way. So there I am, standing in her kitchen with a watering can, when her home phone rings. Nobody uses that landline except telemarketers and her dentist's office, so I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. Hello, is this Diane Navarro? A man's voice. Professional. Clipped. She's not available right now, I said. Can I take a message? This is Gerald Fitch from Fitch & Associates Family Law. I'm calling regarding the support arrangement for Claire Navarro. We've been trying to reach Miss Navarro for 2 weeks. The payment schedule needs to be renegotiated now that Claire has turned 27, and our client, Mr. Robert Ellison, is formally requesting that the arrangement be reviewed. I stood there holding the phone so tightly my knuckles went white. Claire Navarro. That's me. My name. Support arrangement. My name. A man named Robert Ellison. I managed to say something I don't even remember what, and I hung up. And then I just stood in my mother's kitchen, in the house I grew up in, surrounded by the framed photos of our family vacations and Marcus's college graduation portrait, and I felt the floor tilt underneath me. A support arrangement. For me. For 23 years. Which means my mother had always told me my father was a man named David who left before I was born and wanted nothing to do with either of us. She said it with such practiced sadness that I never questioned it. I had spent my whole childhood grieving a father who supposedly didn't care whether I existed. But this lawyer, this Gerald Fitch, was calling about a payment schedule. A renegotiation. Which means there had been payments. Regular, structured, legally documented payments. For 23 years. Which means my father, my real father, whoever Robert Ellison was, had been paying for me. Consistently. For my entire life. And my mother had never said a single word. I sat down on the kitchen floor. I don't know how long I was there. The watering can was still in my hand. Water was dripping onto the tile. I started thinking about every single time Diane had looked at me with that particular expression, the one that was almost disappointment, almost contempt, almost something I could never name. I thought about how she had criticized every job I took, every relationship I had, every haircut and every life choice. How she had once told me, with a glass of Chardonnay in her hand and a perfectly calm voice, that I had always been more difficult than Marcus. That some children just were. I had believed her. I had actually believed that I was the problem. But sitting on that cold kitchen floor, I started to wonder if the reason Diane Navarro had never been able to love me the way she loved Marcus was something far simpler and far more devastating than anything I had imagined. What if I wasn't hers? And then a worse thought. What if she had known that all along and kept me anyway, for reasons that had nothing to do with love? I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and I searched the name. Robert Ellison. And what I found made me stop breathing entirely. His name was Robert Ellison. He lived 40 minutes away. And his public Facebook profile showed a man with salt and pepper hair and warm hazel eyes that looked exactly like mine. Stay tuned for the next part.